Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, I'm representing my daughter's college again with this little shirt she purchased for me. I'm like, what is this? I'm out here. I'm like literally out here. Anyway, today is a beautiful day here in the Poconos. It's a little cloudy. It rained last night, but it's a beautiful day. And it's the perfect day to talk about my girl, Mary Magdalene. So I'm going to flip the phone around and let's get into why I wrote Mary Magdalene. So I wrote My Name is Mary Magdalene during the COVID pandemic. I believe the year was 2021 that I started writing. I started writing her directly after They Call Me Gomer. But during this time in writing about Mary Magdalene, I had contacted the COVID coronavirus, and of course there was a lot of fear. And in my case, the virus um, was, they called it the long haulers uh, version of the virus, meaning that it just stayed with me longer than others. So all of the symptoms that I was feeling remained for a good 6 months, I want to say. And I started writing They Call Me Magdalene in the midst of confusion. And in my mind, that is exactly what she was going through, and most likely the reason why God had me write about her in that time. I was experiencing brain fog, aches and pains, heart palpitations a lot. My heart was always racing, and we could not figure out why. The doctors wrote it off as anxiety, but anxiety is something that I had never experienced, not in this magnitude, where I would wake up out of my sleep with my heart racing. If I heard a sudden noise, my heart would start racing. Watching movies, if the music got too dramatic, my heart would start racing. It was really something different. So I think sometime later they wrote that off as COVID anxiety or something like that. I went through heart exams and tests, and they did find periods where my heart would the beats would escalate or skip. I don't know, but anyway, I digress, because in Jesus' name, I no longer have those issues. So I'm grateful. Um, Also, they were saying that I was possibly experiencing menopause. The reason being for some of these extended symptoms that I was having: night sweats. My goodness, night sweats. They were horrible, where I would wake up just drenching. Um, could not figure out what was going on. And, it's a possibility that maybe some of that was the case. Having a bit of menopause on top of everything else. But then there's Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene in the Bible was yet another They say prostitute. Um, she suffered with 7 demons. She was possessed by 7 demons. So what I did in writing this book is I took those 7 demons and I made them into 7 issues, 7 afflictions that she suffered with throughout her life. And I made her, I gave her, of course, mental health issues. She suffered with, what do you call it? I'm sorry, brain fog. My mind has again, the word has just escaped my mind, and I'm pretty sure that it'll come up again. But anyway, yes, so Mary did have issues. So in this book, I decided that I would like to write about the jazz era. So I went back into time, 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and I ended it in the 90s. So Mary Magdalene had a nice long stretch, and I put her in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where she grew up under the guidance of her grandmother, along with her sister, whom we all know from the I Am Rahab, a novel series, Lottie, Big Mama Lottie, Charlotte Auguste. Mary Magdalene was the younger sister, whom they called Mags, and she was a sassy one. Without giving too much of the story away, she had a traumatic childhood under her grandmother's care, mistreated by her father, who was in and out of their lives, and they had lost their mother. Her mother died in childbirth with Mary Magdalene, so she never knew her mother, and that always plagued her as well. But she grew up and she grew out, and she started picking up all of these 7 demons, these situations, sometimes and afflictions that come with living life. And she did some things that she was not proud of in trying to resolve her issues with life itself. My story takes place with Mary Magdalene in an insane asylum, which is where she ended up. And she is reflecting over her life, just like me taking these walks and thinking about life and some of the things I've done and the reasons why. So she was in this insane asylum, and she met a young lady who was just at the peak of her life. And Mary's heart reached out for her because she knew that this girl could change her life around and she could get out of that place and live. At this point, Mary is further up in age, and she had been in this insane asylum for, I think it was 10 years or 15 years. And she kind of had just let herself go and had given up. Not only that, she was under horrible care in the institution by a very spiteful and evil nurse who just hated her for no apparent reason. She wanted her dead. She was not a kind woman at all and should not have been in the profession of human care. Anyway, that is where the story begins. Mary is in this institution and she's reflecting over her life and sharing her stories with this young woman. And I think that that is where I am in writing all of my books. It's just me sitting down, sharing stories with people, mostly women, and wanting people to take the information that I share for themselves. I try not to beat people over the head with the gospel more than share the gospel through stories so that you can see for yourself. Taste and see. Isn't that what the word says? Taste and see that the Lord is good. And He is. He is grateful. And I am grateful for His grace and His mercies. So, Mary Magdalene. I wish that I could remember the 7 demons. I know lust was one. She had an alcohol problem that came from manic depression. That is what my girl suffered from, manic depression, and that was an old 80s term, newer term, bipolar. Yes, that is what she was. And she had these highs and she had lows, and usually with the highs and the lows comes alcohol abuse or drug abuse. Also promiscuity. She was promiscuous with her body, but she had in the beginning one love that she was after. And you'll read the book and you'll find out. I don't want to give away all the stories, but somewhere hidden behind mental health, there's a human, and there's hearts and people behind vacant eyes, and people behind frustration and what looks like anger, and sometimes torment and rage. She was a woman. She was that woman in the family that people called the crazy one. Stay away from Mary Mags. She's loose. She's loose with the mouth. She's loose with the trigger. She's loose with her fist. Stay away from her. Don't cross her. But otherwise, she's a great grandmother. She's a great aunt. She's a great woman. She sung. She danced. She had a career as a performer in a jazz band. And that's where she met the love of her life. So she toured the country singing and dancing during a period where there was civil unrest in the Jim Crow South. So there's quite a bit of stories in my name. It's Mary Magdalene. I really enjoyed writing this book. And as far as what I did with the gospel, is I took Mary and some of the other disciples that we know and that we love, and I made them into the jazz band members. And they each had an instrument, and they each had a calling, and I touched on some of their stories. I also took some stories out of the Old Testament and used them. Jesus on the boat, fishing, the wedding, which other stories that I use? I can't think of any right now, but yeah, I took a spin on all of those things. John the Baptist is in the story. He actually baptized Mary as a child, laid his hands on her and proclaimed her for Christ and advanced to all of the confusion and the darkness, she was called out. So I hope you pick up My Name is Mary Magdalene, along with my other books about biblical characters, women, heroines that are just like us and going through similar or went through similar situations that we all go through, just in a different era and a different time. But God is so good. He's left us with a manual, a playbook of how to do life with Him. So, my name is Arthur J.C. Miller. I would flip the phone back around, but I don't want to lose you. And I'm almost done with my walk. I hope that you are walking with me and listening to these videos as you walk. I would just like to say, be encouraged today. Yes, let the Spirit of the Lord come upon you and move you into divine appointments. May His grace keep you and be the wind beneath your wings that you need. Remember, this life that we're in, we are just tents, temporary. We're foreigners here, aliens, all of us. All of us have green cards. Our home is in heaven. And as we live and breathe and have our being in this life, remember that. Remember that in how you treat others. Remember that in how you live. This is not the final destination. So, go forward and have a blessed day. Talk to you next time. Next time I'll be talking about something about Ruth. Goodbye.